Welcome to the Absolute Dog Sexier and Squirrel podcast. I'm Lauren Langman. I'm one of the world's leading dog trainers, and it's my mission to help owners become their dog's top priority. In each episode, you'll discover how to gain trust and communicate with your dog like never before, creating unbreakable bonds that make you the most exciting part of their world. Rescue dogs, and not just any rescue dog, big rescue dogs who've come with big history. Alice, tell us about it.
Hello, thank you for having me. And this is my absolute passionate subject. So I am the proud and happy owner of Bonnie, who is a sort of 40-odd kilo German Shepherd-Cane Corso mega Mastiff mutt mix. And we got her as a 2-year-old dog from a local rescue centre. And we were made aware that there had been quite a serious incident which had led to her being removed from her previous owner and brought into rescue, which was that due to some mismanagement with the previous owner, there had actually been a very serious dog fight incident which sadly resulted in the death of the other dog. So Bonnie was taken into rescue with this sort of stain on her record. And that didn't put us off, because we knew that actually that was down to the management, or rather the mismanagement of those dogs. And that sadly that had been an entirely avoidable situation, and that she definitely deserved another chance. I think perhaps we were slightly naive about the extent of what a learning curve she was going to be for us, but she's in a much better place now. She's much happier, healthier, much more calmer, sort of, and a much more kind of sociably acceptable dog now than she was when we got her, and certainly than she was before. So yeah, I'm hugely passionate about rescue dogs, and here to absolutely answer questions and help anybody else who might be thinking about taking on a rescue dog, or might be struggling with the rescue dog they've just taken on, and are maybe just in need of some guidance and some top tips. Let's go.
Now, before we go any further, one thing we're going to say is, because Alice is so passionate and she's a big part of the Absolute Dogs community, she's a student of Absolute Dogs, but she also is really passionate in the community and in the community spaces. We're going to give away to all rescue centres listening, or any rescue centre you know, or any rescue centre you want to touch base with, or any rescue centre you want to reach out to. We're going to give away rescue resources. We're happy to give away some of our courses. We're very happy to even give away physical resources if they want to come past our centre. Our centre is in Devon. We're very happy to give physical resources away. Whilst we have everything lasting, you're very welcome to get involved and take some of what we have. But equally, all of the digital resources can go all over the world to rescue centres, to help owners of rescue dogs, to help rescue centres and all of their teams, all of their staff, their volunteers, their employees and their employers. Like, we want to help rescue dogs and rescue owners stay together. And one of the biggest things we see, I can't remember the statistic, and neither can Alice, but it's close to 50% of dogs either come back or are put to sleep. So they don't make it in rescue. And that isn't because of the dog, and that isn't because of the owner. It's because of the mismatch and misalignment often of the expectation and the reality. Now, I know you saw that, and please, guys, do get in touch if you've got a rescue dog, and if you maybe know of a rescue centre, or know of someone in rescue or volunteering for rescue, we have got resources for you. We've got resources for you, and we want to help you have all of the resources and give them. They're free, no charge whatsoever. There will be no charge, whether you need them for 50 people at the rescue centre or 500 people. There will be no charge to you in the rescue centre, and that's our give back to rescue dogs and to celebrate owners who are helping rescue dogs. Now, Alice, I know the reality and the expectation, there was a mismatch there, because when you brought her home, it wasn't all sort of smelling of roses and perfect scenarios. And I know that this was potentially for some people a space to take the dog back. But actually for you, it was a moment of maybe stretch, stress, frustration. You made it through. But tell us about that period.
Yeah, it was for the first kind of couple of weeks or so. after we got Bonnie home. This was no kind of immediately obvious red flags. And I think this is just because we have to understand it does take our dogs a little time to actually start to kind of process the change of being in one place one day and then being in your home the next, and kind of learning what all that means. So sometimes the behavioral issues um, can take a little time to show themselves. In Bonnie's case, when they did, they really did. So we found ourselves tackling serious like separation struggles, serious reactivity struggles, and she's a lot of dog. She's a big dog, so this was a big problem for us, and we we were determined that if we could, we were not going to give up on her. That we knew she would be a difficult dog to rehome. We really did not want to fail her, but we obviously needed to make sure that she and we and everyone in our community was safe, and that we were handling her responsibly. So we really sort of dug our heels in and set to work learning how to make the situation better. And we didn't strike gold first time, but I'm so pleased that quite early on into us sort of trying to search for information and trying to search for the right kind of learning, we did find Absolute Dogs, and we did start to then sort of get some traction and start making some improvement. So if you are listening to this and you are having massive buyer's remorse over the rescue dog you've recently brought home, and thinking you're out of your depth, and thinking, oh crikey, this could be one of those failed relationships that they were just talking about, keep listening and stick with us, because actually there's absolutely hope, and there's absolutely reason to sort of actually let those worries go, and actually just try playing some games, try sort of doing some of the right kind of things that are going to build your relationship with your dog, and actually maybe start addressing that mismatch between that kind of where you're at now, what you're expecting, what are the skills, what are the concepts that are missing, because we can actually break this down and make what seems like an enormous insurmountable struggle actually quite bite-sized and quite easy to start chipping away at.
I love that. I really love that. And just explain to people quite how you found Absolute Dogs, and what did your pathway in look like, and how does it look now?
Yeah, we had amongst the sort of struggles we had with Bonnie was actually the realization that she had some quite serious orthopedic issues which needed attention. And so the vet advised that whilst we were awaiting treatment, the rest of it, that we should just keep her in. So as much as we didn't consciously know that we were ditching the walks from a behavioral perspective, it was just sort of purely from a kind of physical discomfort perspective. It was whilst we were on that kind of house rest that I found the like I said, 7-day reactivity workshop. And I thought, well, actually, okay, we've got to keep her in. At least I can maybe try and learn something whilst from at home, and got to stay in with her and just see if any of these games are okay for her to do now whilst she has to be on a lot of rest. And I immediately learned about the bucket, about concept training, about the importance of calmness, all these things that immediately just started making a lot of sense with where we were at in terms of Bonnie's behavioural struggles. So whilst we were working on the orthopedic issues, I did so much at home training, entering through the kind of naughty but nice route, and kind of did boot camps, and then got into games club and did all of this, so that by the time we were actually out of the other side of the orthopedic struggles, and we could actually start kind of returning to a bit more sort of normal exercise and things like that for her, we had a lot of the right foundations in place then behaviorally, and she'd actually come on leaps and bounds from a behavioral perspective, um, even though we'd just been training at home. So it all kind of dovetailed accidentally for us, but certainly, if you're not having to worry about any kind of veterinary issues, and you're just thinking, I'm having a horrible time with my dog and having reactivity issues or separation issues or whatever it might be, start learning about those concepts, start kind of playing a few games and stuff, because actually just working a little bit at home, and then starting to sort of take those skills into other environments, it was, I mean, it was revolutionary for us.
What would be one of your top tips for someone thinking about getting a rescue dog?
Oh, top tip for someone thinking about getting, I mean, definitely, I think do it. Do it, but do it with lots of research. I think, definitely have, if you can do kind of several meet and greets, and sort of, see if you can, maybe even kind of, if you look into some games and things already, have a look on Games Club, see kind of what things might be really good little kind of conversation starters, relationship builders, that you can then go to a meet and greet at your rescue centre with those games in mind, so that you can maybe have an opportunity to sort of play a couple of little simple games, and just sort of, see how you gel with the dogs. I say
And or do you think, and I know your answer here, do you think you could have been better prepared if you'd been part of Games Club before getting your rescue dog home?
100%, 100%, because if we had that kind of right structure of learning, from day one, then we wouldn't have wasted time on anyone telling us sort of more old-fashioned ways of getting dogs to behave, which just didn't sit right for us. So, we'd have just kind of gotten off on the right foot from day one, and that would have been brilliant. And I would absolutely just sort of advocate for that, really, for anyone thinking of getting a rescue dog. Is, if you can, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're already in the right sort of space, you're already kind of thinking along those lines. So, you know good work.
And completely aligned with Alice here. If you can get someone listening to the podcast with you, share it, get someone who maybe has a dog or a dog struggle, or even just getting a puppy, or maybe they're getting an adult dog, or maybe they look after another dog. For me, the more owners we have that are educated, and educated in a games-based, concept-based way, actually you're going to meet better owners when you're out there walking. Now, Alice, another one I'm thinking, and this one's quite a cool one, is that anyone who's out there, again, either thinking of getting a rescue dog, or recently got a rescue dog, or has had a rescue dog with struggles or problems, what sort of little tips would you have for them in terms of maybe ditch the bowl, ditch the routine, ditch the walk? Because it is going to be different. I like that you sort of touch base on that, really. It's going to be different to some other trainers that are out there. And I know that big breeds, especially like Bonnie, a lot of people would go to aversive or police dog style trainers for a dog like that, maybe using chains or correction collars or sort of prongs and tools, really. What tips would you have surrounding that?
I think that the most important thing, and this not just for rescue dogs, for any dog that you have, it's the relationship you have with your dog is the most important thing. To, because you want to be a team, you want to be each other's companions, you want to have that sort of mutual trust and affection, and that doesn't come about naturally through, like you say, like kind of the use of aversives. And I can understand the human temptation to go in that direction when you've got a big powerful animal that you are worried could potentially do some damage, or that has done damage in the past, and you're riddled with anxiety about what if it happens on my watch, or what have you. I know, I can understand that people could be sort of persuaded that that would be, a necessary course of action. But not only is it not necessary, it's actually not as effective. It's just, if we actually rewind that, and forget that idea, and we actually focus on building a relationship, building that mutual trust with your dog, then you get much better results, and much more reliable results. That I am 5'3", sub 50 kilos, and I have this sleeping, snoring giant breed dog, and I can walk her safely, on my own, and that is not through use of force, or that she has to do as she's told. It's because she wants to move with me, she wants to work with me, we are a team. And so that makes her a joy to live with and a joy to train. And we, we have a much happier existence together than than if we weren't playing games. And I mean, like I say, she's enormous, and that means we've got an awful lot of food that we can play with every day. So it makes it very easy to build that relationship and train using games, because I mean, I don't need to worry about thinking, oh, she's going to be given loads of treats and things. I just use the food she's going to eat anyway, and we can put that value into the things that I want her to learn to have value for. So it's very simple stuff, really. It just works.
And it's completely, for me, it is common sense. So much of it is common
Yeah.
sense. But what I have learned in the recent world is common sense is not that common. And actually, it's better to help and to teach and to coach. So with that in mind, I want to just reiterate to everyone, if you've got a rescue dog, if you know of a rescue centre, if you know of a rescue centre that is in need of help, if you know of a volunteer for a rescue centre, an employee of a rescue centre, a managing director of a rescue centre, someone who is helping rescue dogs anywhere in the world, from Spain to New Zealand, Australia, right down to the depths of Devon where we live. If it's physical resources, they can come past the centre and collect them if it's feasible. If it's not a physical resource and it's a digital resource, something that you want a course or something that we can help you with, and we've got so many good rescue dog resources. They are completely free to you, and we're going to make sure we take care of you. So please, 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 please do reach out to us. Head over to absolute-dogs.com, fill in the help form, or email us or touch base with us, and we want to help rescue dogs. So Alice, I'm going to leave with one tip for rescue dogs, and my tip is going to be, before you ever get your rescue dog, do your research. Do your research on the rescue, do your research on the type of dog that you want. And I'm going to give an example. I was doing a little puppy party, this is about 15 years ago. A lady had 2 Jack Russell Terriers, and I asked her what they were bred for, and she said to me, these are lap dogs, as they sat on her lap. And I looked at them and I thought, how do I tell her she's got 2 murderers sat on her lap? Because ultimately, Jack Russell Terriers are bred to kill bite. It's a different kind of bite. And as much as they are gorgeous little dogs, they are bred with a job in mind. And I think it's really important. Equally with the Border Collie that the lady said, yeah, this is a perfect pet dog, came from a family, both parents are pet dogs. If you got one that just sits and sleeps and curls up on the sofa, then you did get yourself a dud. Border Collies are bred to work, and they're bred to do a job. And for me, my Border Collies do a job, even if it's brave herding the chickens post-spinal surgeries and post-spinal problems. And so for me, it's really, really vital that your dog has a job. So Brave's job, even as a rehab dog and a dog who's in like spinal care, she has a job, and her job is to look after our chickens, and that is her job, and she takes it seriously. She is very diligent about making sure everyone goes to bed. I want you to think about doing your research, get your free resources. There's loads of free resources. You're better to take your time. Henry Ford says, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Let's not fail a rescue dog, because there are enough failures out there already. We're here to help you succeed. What would your tip be, Alice, for rescue dogs or rescue dog owners or rescue dog volunteers or centres all over the world?
Get the resources and start with games-based training from day one. But also, I mean, if you can, then jump into the community as well, because actually sometimes, dog training or finding your feet with a brand new dog, a dog that's maybe got a bit of an odd history to it can be a lonely space. You can easily feel overwhelmed if you don't have some support around you. So if you can get into Games Club, or if you can get into PDT Club, if you can join in the community, you're going to be surrounded by people who have also rehomed rescue dogs, have overcome training struggles, and who've got huge amounts of knowledge and tips to share, and who can just be there to support you and help you along your way and help you make a success of that relationship.
Absolutely super. Guys, that was this episode of the Sexier and Squirrel podcast. Please share it with rescue owners, rescue centres, anybody who's been involved in rescue at any level. We are here to help. Thank you, Alice, and the wonderful Bonnie, who I know is at your feet, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I know there are more sessions together. Make sure you share the podcast. It is your duty. It is our mission, and we'll see you next week. Remember, stay sexy.